Greetings once again from Eastern News 24. I si ndị be anyị ka nke onye chikwelu ya zelụkwa o. Anyị si na ya dịrị na mma na ya dị ka echi na echi ada agwụ agwụ. Biko na ya agbapụ na ya ọsọ rutere ya bụ ozi anyị jiri bịa n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taa na Eastern News 24 gbasịta maka nwanne anyị nwoke bụ onye ndu Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. N'ụbọchị nke taa ya bụ interview wetara unu, one of the global interview emele chief and also the special counsel to Maazị Nnamdi Kanu bụ Aloy Ejimakor on international media. Please pay attention to this clip, all the very important. Yes. Oh, some certain things okay defy n'iru akwụkwọ mmachọkunu gee and kunu tialo kunu basta maka ya bife.
Law.
Over to you, sir.
So my brief is to bring Nigeria to account. And bringing Nigeria to account includes challenging the territorial jurisdiction of a nation that committed such serious and reprehensible conduct. There are countervailing measures, and I have laid everything before the Commission, and I expect to prevail.
What likely remedies do you expect to come out of that Commission?
There are four that are clear, legislated on. I'm not making it up. First one is called restitution. You know, in common parlance, you can say restoration. So if you rendition somebody, you got to restore him to the state of being before you rendition him. The state of being of Nnamdi Kanu was that he was duly admitted into Kenya on 5th May on a British passport. So the rendition sort of upset the apple cart. One of the remedies, of course, as I mentioned, you restore him to either Kenya or Britain. That was the country or the passport with which he traveled. The second one is what they call satisfaction. The other one is compensation. Monetary is huge. It can be in the hundreds of millions of any local currency. And the other one is guarantee of future good behavior, so that when you encounter the suspect again, you respect yourself and respect him as well, and do whatever I want to do through due process. So I have asked the Commission to give to my client the remedies to which he's entitled. And the most important one is that he has to be restored back to the status that he was before he was rendition. I'm going to insist on that. So he be restored to UK. If you like, you can ask UK to put some limits on his freedom. So you can go to UK and file for extradition. Nigeria has an extradition agreement or some understanding with United Kingdom. Nigeria has a legal standing to approach a UK court to extradite.
That's a mutual legal assistance.
Yes, something like that. You know, within the Commonwealth, we have our own and they have their own. So you walk within the purview of the black letter law on point and get your suspect to be in your jurisdiction.
Now let's talk about the African Commission on Human and People's Rights and the legal remedies, which you mentioned before we went on that break. My question to you is, how binding will those legal remedies, if you eventually get them, be on the Nigerian government? Because it's one thing to enter into an international protocol, but it's another thing to abide by the creed and the spirits behind that protocol. And we've seen several times in which decisions and orders given by the community court, the regional court, community court of justice, ECOWAS, as we know it to be, has not been, respected by the Nigerian government. So how hopeful are you that whatever remedies you get from the African Commission on Human and People's Rights would be complied with?
Well, it's, well, let me say it's like doing shadow boxing here, and you hope to strike a face, a soft one. Nigeria has quite a reputation for disobeying court orders, not only continental ones, but national ones. But you got to keep pushing. A lawyer, as a good lawyer should, go for the remedies to which his client is entitled. If you keep considering the other ones, the negativities, all these things you just reeled out, you will never take a step. So I'm hoping Nigeria would respect itself and respect the continent of Africa, the commission that he helped to set up, and obey any decisions that will be emanating from that commission. So I'm not discouraged. I can only say this, that it's the chances of Nigeria obeying that, remain the same as the chances of Nigeria obeying orders issuing from its own national courts.
All right, now let's talk about the other diplomatic angles to this case. Nnamdi Kanu was arrested with a British passport. That's as much has been said and reported. Are there any particular diplomatic interest from the UK authorities in this case?
Well, I'm not going to be talking like I know everything. I can only tell you what I know. I was the first person that took the step to get Britain diplomatically involved. He was arraigned on 29 June. The very next day, I wrote a letter to the High Commission. And they replied me that they needed him to sign off on some forms before they can activate what is commonly known as consular assistance. I wasn't successful in getting him to endorse those forms. Well, I think it had something to do with legalities at the DSS office. Initially, they were amenable, but suddenly someone said, oh, maybe we need to run this by our legal unit. They did, and guess what? A few days later, they called me to come back to get the forms that they wouldn't let him sign the forms. I already made this disclosure before.
The form was dropped with them?
Yes, I did.
To give it to him?
Actually, there were two forms. One came from the UK. It came from the Bindmans in UK, one of the largest firms in UK, represent his interests on this matter from the UK angle. So they sent me a form. I printed it out, added to mine, the one that is supposed to be tenable at the embassy, and both forms were rejected flatly after some days. So I think perhaps the only way Britain can get involved now is to escalate whatever they are doing, and I'm sure they would. Britain doesn't have a history of abandoning their own. They don't have a history of abandoning their citizens. In fact, they protect all. If you recall what happened in 1984, Omar Diko was nearly successfully rendition to Nigeria. The only difference between Omar Diko and Kanu is this, that Omar Diko was created, Kanu wasn't. And well, the second one is that this rendition of Kanu succeeded, that of Omar Diko was nipped in the bud. But what happened? Because Omar Diko was British resident, not even citizen, Britain took strong countervailing diplomatic measures. They broke diplomatic relations with Nigeria for 2 years. They arrested 17 people, jailed 4 for between 8 years hard labor, deported 13, and then this rest of the 4 were deported upon completion of their sentence. And the CEO of Nigerian Airways was nearly arrested at the airport and all that. He just had a lucky escape. And subsequent extradition requests by Nigeria were all denied flatly. And Omar Diko was a mere British resident. So imagine what can happen in the case of Nnamdi Kanu. So Nigeria got to be ready to give account. This is not something, there is no way, there is no escaping it. Britain must intervene. So for now, I'm giving British government the benefit of that. But whatever they are doing, I'm going to ask them to ramp up on it and do it very quickly so that a stitch in time can save 9.
You've also sued the Kenyan authorities. They are part of the application.
I sued them.
You filed
together with Nigeria.
What exactly are you demanding of the African Commission against the Kenyan government?
Disclosures, full disclosures of all the participants, so that we consider seriously the prospect of taking them to the ICC.
Does the fact that the Kenyan authorities have denied that they were not aware, were not involved in anything surrounding Nnamdi Kanu's arrest in Kenya or taking out of Kenya, I don't want to use the word abduction. I'm just trying to be careful here. The fact that they've denied that, how does it help their case? Or how does it help your case as well?
Well, anyway, in diplomatic circles, they call this deniability or diplomatic deniability. Someone might also say that Kenya is suddenly having an attack of conscience. But it challenges credulity that a nation like Kenya will just be there and a bunch of rogues will come into Kenya and grab such a personality like Kanu under its nose without Kenya knowing about it. But if Kenya succeeds in exculpating itself from this, it becomes much more serious for Nigeria. Because what it then means is that Nigeria brazenly breached the territorial integrity of Kenya, went in there and committed this horrendous crime.
The case before the Nigerian court has been adjourned till October.
Yes.
And there are speculations that it appears that the Nigerian government is not really ready to proceed with this particular case, probably, buying time to keep him in detention for as long as possible. If that happens, what are the next steps?
Well, it offends the conscience of society when government begins to look like it's trying to exact punishment before conviction. It happened before. When Khan was arrested initially in October 2015, he was in detention for 18 months, if you recall. Yeah. So they exacted a lot of jail time out of him without taking the case to trial. It looks like it's about to play out again. But you see, there are things we can do, options, legal options we can pursue.
Ndị be anyị kwadalụ dị nnenu dịka unu si wee na-esore n'ụbọchị egwuregwu nkịta n'elu akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24. Ọ na-anụgo n'ife nwanne anyị wetara anyị. Ọ ya amasị anyị na ọ bụ na nke ụbọchị izu gị na-esore ka gbarụ kịtụsa ya bụ ozi. Ọzọ dịka ibe ya bụ achọkwa ka idere na akara kọmentị ife iche n'ụdị nke gị gbasara maka iwe ya bụ ife niile a ịnụ n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị egwuregwu nkịta mgbakọ ebe si ya na ụmụnne m.